This has been a buzz. I've actually spoke about it on a few podcasts prior to today, F's Fanatics as well as Hall of Fame College Football, both great podcasts, is the Locked On, the 333 or 366 schedule. And we talked about it a little bit last week for Bama and what they're going to be doing. But Oklahoma, Texas, and UGA seems to be right now projected to be Florida's 3 consistent teams that they play every single year, and then the remaining will be 6, and then 6 on, 6 off kind of thing. Everyone has their opinion about it. Dave, I'll start with you. Like it, love it, hate it, don't care. Where are you at on this, Bubba?
I'm kind of 50-50 with it because I like to see the good matchups. Florida doesn't shy away from playing the hard teams like Georgia does on the regular schedule. So I do like the Oklahoma, Texas, Georgia whole scenario there. But I would also like to see, I guess I'd like to see it laid out more fairly, but I mean, like, what is fair though? Right? Is Oklahoma going to come to the SEC and not be the Oklahoma that they were? Or Texas going to come to the SEC and not be the Texas that they were? We don't know that. So I'm okay with whoever they put in front of us. I just want to see the Florida-Georgia rivalry every year. That's what I want to see. I'm going to miss probably LSU or some of the other matchups there. But since I live in Georgia, yes, I want to play Georgia every year because that gives me an opportunity to, at least if we win, to have bragging rights for a year and irritate the Georgia fans like they do me on Twitter. So,
Brandon, thoughts?
I'm kind of in the same camp where David is saying, like, oh, I want to see the good matchups. That's what I want to see. Like, I don't want to see, like he mentioned with Georgia specifically, I don't want to see the cupcakes. I want to see a difficult schedule. Like,
sure,
I get it. It means that you put yourself at risk to have a worse record, but it's also, there's a certain level of, I guess, respect you could put on a team that is facing any and all comers. And if that's Oklahoma, Texas, Georgia, so be it. Who knows what those teams are going to look like? Like David said, like Oklahoma could come in and be a lot better or be a lot worse. We have no idea what it's going to be long term, and that's kind of another part of it where I feel like people talk about, oh, like, well, Brent Venables, Sarkisian, all that stuff, and it's like you don't know who's going to be there for much longer. Brent Venables not the best first year ever in Oklahoma, so you don't know who's going to be there long term. Sure, as long as Georgia was in there, I'm fine with it. They're the only team I need to see every single year. They're the only one that I need to see every single year. I would love to see LSU every year. I would love to see some other teams every year. But as long as Georgia's in there, I'm fine with it. And as long as it's, Oklahoma, Texas, not Vandy being on there, which I know lost this year. But I need to see a strong schedule every year.
Yeah, and let me add to that a little bit for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
You don't know how the expanded playoff is going to shake out either, because now if you get a harder schedule, say like these were our permanent opponents, and they're consistently ranked in the top 25, along with Georgia, who's not going away anytime soon. You play those teams, and you can afford to even lose 2 games on your schedule with the expanded playoff and still make it into that bracket, I guess, or however they're going to construct that playoff with the expansion that they're talking about. So even having those teams on the schedule permanently actually kind of helps you, especially if you can beat them.
It's refreshing to hear you both say that you kind of want that gauntlet, because I'm in the same boat. I think it makes for great football. I'd rather go in every weekend not knowing what's going to happen. I mean, I kind of give Steve shit all the time, our FSU host, about, look, you guys, sometimes it's just a cupcake week, and it's like, what are you doing here? Now, USF was our cupcake week, and it was still stressful, but that was refreshing of like, hey, let's get a chill game, right? But not every week. How I look at it is, look, some people are saying, like, because we're losing Kentucky, that game does not care to me. It's like, hey, it's a rivalry game. That's not a rivalry game, okay? They've been our little brother forever. I understand they won the past couple years, but before that, they were our little brother. I don't get fired up for the Kentucky-Florida game. I am a little down for the Tennessee game, more so than the LSU game. I enjoy watching Florida versus Tennessee, especially playing in Tennessee. I think it's an incredible environment. So if I could choose, I would get rid of OU. I think playing Texas is huge for both brands. And we're going to talk about Texas a little bit later with Steve about Quinn Ewers, but I think Texas coming into the SEC is scary, because now you have in my opinion, a very popular brand, a big school in Texas with a lot of money, a lot of oil money, now becoming part of the SEC. A lot of reasons why kids probably didn't go to Texas that would be a great fit for Texas. Like, well, yeah, it's not in the SEC. I'm kind of going to go by the wayside. You put Texas now in the SEC, locked in for Florida every single year, That's going to be a big game. I mean, Texas Alabama I think it was up there for one of the top 5 watched games this year. And I was in the car watching it before the Gator Utah game. Or no, what game was it? It wasn't Gator Utah. It was the second week. I think it was Gator Kentucky. I was in the truck while it was raining in Gainesville, watching that game because of how exciting that matchup was to see. So, look, I love it. Again, I think Georgia 100% is an absolute lock. LSU, I really could care less about. It's a great game, but if I had to get rid of one, I'd rather keep Tennessee. I feel like that game is such a fun game, and I love talking shit with Tennessee fans. For me, that's how I base my look. Seriously, that's how I base who I want to play is just the fan base. How fun are they? How invested? Now, Texas fans, I haven't ran into too many of those. There are a lot of fun OU fans, so I don't mind OU either right now. But Tennessee fans, because of where I live, they're all over the place. I can run into them at Walmart and talk shit. My neighbor was one. So, like, that to me is fun. If I see a Tennessee hat, I can just, like, spit on a shoe and keep going. I doubt I'll see too many OUs. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if the Texas hats start flying through, just due to the fact that them being the SEC, I could see that popularity rising. But all in all, I'm excited for it. Again, I'm excited for 9 conference games, too. I think it's just going to be so much fun to watch. And I think it's going to lead to the SEC. I talked about it the other night on Hall of Fame podcast of literally just taking over. I mean, what else do you need? You've now brought Texas, Oklahoma. You may add a few. If they add FSU and Clemson, I don't care about Michigan, Ohio State. I'm going to be honest. I'm not trying to rag on it, but outside of the Michigan Ohio State game at 12 o'clock at the end of the year, I'm not tuning into the Big Ten. I'm not tuning in to watch Ohio State play Penn State. I'm not tuning in to watch Maryland versus Ohio State. You know what I mean? I don't think too many people are, to be honest with you. I think it's the same reason why the Pac-12 can't get a TV deal. Okay, now the Big Ten isn't in that same boat, but it is interesting to see. So,
did you happen to look up? Did you happen to look up like Georgia's permanent opponents that were projected? Like
I have not seen that. No, is that what it is? Are you screwing me?
No, but I'm pretty sure that's what it would be.
Well, so we talked about it with Steve last week. From what my understanding is how they're projecting the matchups is based on their last 10 years of winning percentages, right? So Vanderbilt, Missouri, they may get one of them. They probably will get one of them, probably Vandy, being in that lower tier. But the other 2 teams are supposed to be in higher tiers. And so I feel like we kind of got screwed because OU and Texas, those schedules are based off of another conference, right? And so Georgia obviously is a tier 1 player. I guess OU would be that tier 2 because OU hasn't been a slouch up until last year. Then Texas is supposed to be that 3rd tier, but we all know where Texas is headed. So I feel like we definitely got the short end of the stick if that's how they're basing it.
Yeah, well, we'll take on any comers. We're not scared of them.
I agree. I think it's good. I think we need it.
Yeah, well, as far as that goes, I know that I think somebody said that I think Auburn was supposed to be like one of the permanent opponents for Georgia, but I couldn't remember what the other one they projected to be.
Steve's talking smack about, why do Florida fans value playing South Carolina? I don't think we play. I mean, we value it a little bit more, I think, because of the Spurrier and the Muschamp was there, but I don't really value it more than the Kentucky game.
I hate losing LSU. Like, I like that game. Like, for some reason, I like it, even though that they've had the upper hand for the longest. Like, I still like that game. I think it's always a good game every time that Florida plays. There's hardly any blowouts in that game. It's always like a really close game whenever they play. Like even this past year, like it looks like LSU was going to run away with it, and then we came back, and it was like a 10-point game or something like that. If you look up the past matches between LSU and Florida, there's hardly really any blowouts. I mean, you have to go back to like 2008-ish, 2009, 2010, 11. But then after that, you don't really see that many blowouts between both of them. So like losing that matchup really sucks, to me. But
it's a good game.
As far as like adding Oklahoma and Texas, though, okay, maybe I can deal with that. But I still hate losing that LSU game.
I have a few that are. I have a few good friends that are LSU fans, which is why that game means so much to me. I actually lost a slap bet with an LSU fan because before the 2019 season, I was like, oh, you know what? I think in 2019, Felipe Franks is going to be more productive than Joe Burrow. And then Joe Burrow went on to have the best quarterback season ever.
It's a hot take there,
And
Brandon.
at the time, at the time, I don't think it was that bad. In 2019,
Fair,
when we
fair,
had the
fair.
1 year of Joe Burrow, that was like, all right, game manager type. And I was like, yeah, Felipe's gonna be more productive than him. I have never lost a bet so hard. It's
Oh
never
yeah.
been that bad.
I
That's-
have a lost tweet that says it said Joe Burrow's an average quarterback is what I said. And so many LSU fans retweeted it after they won the national championship. And I said, man, I tweeted the gif of run away.
Sometimes you
So
gotta
at
just
least
take it on the
at least-
chin, boys.
Hey, I took that one on the chin pretty bad.